But you have to be careful because it's once per year. It's good if you have a business or an activity that doesn't have a lot of overhead costs. And those are the ways that you can benefit from having a company.
Hola and welcome back to my channel where I talk about living abroad. A while ago, one of my best friends shared her experience with the tax system in Portugal on a meetup for expats. What makes her case interesting is that she's from Venezuela, which means that she had rather difficult starting conditions considering the economic and political state of Venezuela. Yet she still managed to move to Portugal and build her own company here. Currently, she's even in the process of moving to Japan. So she really is one of the smartest people that I know. And I'm sure that you can get some value out of this interview here. However, please keep in mind that the interview took place a while ago in February 2022, which means that some things could have changed. So please make your own research. Also, nobody who is talking in this video is either a tax advisor or an accountant. We are simply just sharing our knowledge. However, as I said, I am sure you can get some value out of this. So, without further ado, let's start the video.
Everything that I say is going to be different depending of your immigration status, of your type of business. It's going to be, for example, there are stuff that I don't know because they are not concerning to my business. So, but if you are an European, you can actually do it online. But as a non-European, so I know the experience as a non-European, I had to go physically to finances.
Really? Isn't it that once you are resident here and you have your name and passport, I thought that from there it's the same.
It's better if you, because you will have a delay, because your data is too new into the system. So what happened to me, it was that I tried to do it online and it took like 3 months for something that it could be just a one day going.
So if the NIF is fresh, then there might be problems.
It was like, it's fresh, so we are like waiting until you have like, so it was a hassle.
I see.
But as an European, I know that it's easier and that you can.
And you have to get an appointment at the finances before?
When COVID hit, yes, you have to get an appointment. I remember that I tried to go, no. But now, I don't know if they changed that actually. It's been a while since I've been to finances. But as I say, as a non-European, if you have your NIF, your fiscal number, you can go and do everything. But as I say, don't open an activity until you are sure that you're going to stay here and that is work for you. You know, after you do your math, you're like, I want to stay here. Because then it's a waste of time and money.
Can we ask questions during you speak, or we should wait for later?
No.
Yeah, because,
hit me up.
Yeah, because you mentioned the hassles with closing the activity. Can you be more specific what
For
the
example,
hassles are?
if you go away, you have to you close your activity. But you have to wait until the end of the fiscal year that is in January, but the taxes are presented in March.
Yeah, sure.
So you have to wait until that, So if you're moving for another European country, I know that to get your tax, to your IRS, you will have to wait until March to get it.
I guess it's the same everywhere.
It's the same everywhere.
But you can do it. You can close it, go wherever
and
you
you have
want.
to remember to close it because a lot of people that I know, they have this problem that they don't close it, they put it inactivated, and they go away.
And then they owe some extra social security and stuff.
Because they don't close it, you have to be sure that it's closed, that you appear like you have no activity, you're an employee in the system. Because you can, for example, if you have an activity outside your work, your 9 to 5, and you have that activity, you can be like inactive. I don't have any clients this past month, so I'm going to inactivate this because I'm going to take a long vacation or whatever. So a lot of people just leave it that way, and they ever close it, so they get like the minimum social security bill.
Yeah.
So it's important to get that thing.
Makes sense.
Open and close it.
Yeah.
How much is it? Approximately? How much will they have to pay for?
The minimum.
Pay for what?
Social security.
Yeah.
The minimum social security is usually they estimate according to how much you do, but the minimum I think is like 50 euros per month, something like that. Close to that ballpark. So that opening and closing. That's if you are a trabajador independiente, an independent contractor. But if you have a company, it's a different set of stuff. If you are a recibos verdes, trabajador independiente, you have two categories. You can be no, I don't know how to translate it. Contabilidad no organizada, unorganized accountability. I don't know if that would be a.
Okay.
But that means that you have to fill all your tax stuff yourself.
Okay.
This is up to $200,000 per year as a revenue, and it's good if you have a business or an activity that doesn't have a lot of overhead costs. I mean, if you have, I don't know, you are selling stuff on Etsy, I don't know, and you have a hefty bill of materials to build your stuff, it's better if you go with the accountant route because you can take a lot of those expenses out of taxes. But if you are, for example, a programmer, like in my case, we have a little overhead cost. It's just ourselves and the PC. So they take 25% that they assume you will be spending on your business. So it is good because usually we, for example, as a programmer, you don't spend 25% of what you do in expenses for the business.
Yeah.
So if it's really good to have an unorganized accountability if your overhead cost is really low. Right. Less than 25% makes sense. Stay that way. And if you make less than 200,000 euros per year,
right,
as a revenue, it doesn't have to be an income, but as a revenue. Okay, if the other one, organizada, it's with an accountant. You have to have a registered accountant, and he has to do everything for you because he has to pass invoices of your expenses, so they are validated.
You cannot do it for yourself.
No, if you, like I said, if you exceed 2,000 euros per year, and if you have a lot of costs for your activity, it would be better if an accountant does it for you.
Yeah, but I mean, you cannot choose the accounting route and then do the actual accounting.
No,
yourself.
because
you
the
have
accountant
to be
has to do it.
Licensed accountant to do it.
Yeah, I have an. What is my code? Huh? Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, you have to have a licensed accountant because they have a program. There are many. I use Stock Online, but that's what my accountant uses. I don't know. And they have to put the invoices inside on their end. It's nothing that I can
keep complete accounting. Yeah.
No. Unless you are unorganized like I was before, you have to do everything yourself. And that way, it's just in the Portal de Finanzas. You do everything there.
Yeah.
It's quite easy and uncomplicated. And filing taxes is quite easy. Then, if you, like I did, it was like at a point, it was worth for me to have a company because here in Portugal, what is higher are not taxes. Actually, they are not ridiculously high comparatively with the rest of Europe.
Corporate tax.
Yeah,
15%?
no, the income tax.
Yeah.
The IRS.
You
it's
mean
not
classical personal income tax?
Personal income tax. It's not actually that high but Social Security is high. Social Security can get like a hefty.
Well, it can be quite high. It's still progressive, right? It starts at 15%, and if you earn a lot, it scales all the way to 45, I think.
That's the IRS. The Social Security is another stuff.
Yeah, Social Security.
The Social Security is not progressive. It's 21%.
That's
21% of your
after. For example, after you cut 25% that they assume that is your cost, they will be like, I don't know, this 25% is yours. They don't tax that.
Yeah.
So the rest 75%, they will take 21% of Social Security.
Yeah.
The thing is, they have a percentage that I don't have like right in my mind, that you can go down and can go up. That means that you can have more contributions, or like less contribution, that at the end they're supposed to help you with retirement. So you can choose the minimum, but it's never that lower than the 21%. It's like 3-4% less, for example.
Yeah.
So there is always, if you are earning a lot, so that can get significantly.
Two choices.
And the IRS has
Brackets.
Brackets.
What is IRS?
The personal income tax.
Personal income tax.
Why is it called iOS?
IRS.
It comes from English. It doesn't.
I'm trying to translate it to English. At least the IRS.
I think it's generally accepted and known as IRS.
IRS.
everywhere.
So in the United States, IRS is the actual tax authority.
Yeah.
But here, IRS is like the individual tax.
So personal income tax. It's with brackets, and it ends at 47%. If I,
Yeah.
but it's not like they will cut you 47% out of your. No, the first
progressive,
it's
yeah.
progressive. Exactly. The first I don't have the table, and they changed it last year, so I actually don't have it because as a company I use another stuff. So
So they take like 25% of what you make.
no. They take 25%. They assume that you are using that, so that's not
That's
taxable.
That's the.
What
that's,
if the expenses are more, like if somebody takes an office space or like
Yeah.
a
then you
co-working
should
space?
probably
that
opt
ca-
for the other option.
Yeah,
and
you
do
should
the
go for
actual
organized.
Oh, so it cannot be more than 25%.
No, you can have more than if you are
If you
making
have more expenses than 25%, that definitely makes sense for you
to have an accountant and go
to take the other route where you have to keep actual accounting,
Accounting.
which is hassle. But if you have the expenses large enough, it's still worth it because you will lower your
or
tax
having a
bills.
company. Having a company has a lot
That's
of
another
benefits
way.
in that end.
And that's what I
But were
mean.
you asking though that if you go as a freelancer,
Yeah.
and you didn't plan on this, but by accident or unintentionally, your
Yeah.
expenses actually do go over 25%. Is there any way of somehow claiming that as a
Yeah, like for example,
No.
if I rent a
If
car or like
You
an
have to
office
change
space,
your status,
You will
and
have
that
to
we have to
switch.
change it. You have to switch to organize.
And you can't switch always back and forth.
No,
It's
you have
not
to do it
as easy as that.
at the preferably at the end of the fiscal
Yeah,
year,
of course, yes.
and do it once a year. You have to be.
And I think if you would do it in 3 consecutive years, you would switch always. They will start looking at you as a
Yeah.
troublemaker a bit. Yeah.
It seems like you've done this before.
No, I've not, but I'm pretty sure they would not look kindly on me if I do.
Oh, another stuff that benefits that you have as a recibos verdes, trabajador independiente, is that you have something called acto isolado, isolated act. That is, if you have, for example, you know that you have a client, a big client, that he will pay you a lot of money in just one. You know, this is a job that I pay, and it's a lot of money on the year. You can claim it as an isolated act, and that doesn't pay any social security, and pays 11 point something, almost 12% IRS
As a self-employed,
as a self-employed. But you have to be careful because it's once per year.
once
It's
per year,
once per
I
year.
can take my invoice
One
and
of your
declare
invoice
it as a
acto isolado, isolated act.
Okay, and-
I always did that.
And that, I would be stupid if I don't, right? Even basically, the recipe should be at the end of the year. I should take one of the biggest
Your
invoice
biggest invoice, yeah.
and declare as that.
And
Because
declare
if I
as
don't do it,
desolado.
I'm just
Yeah.
losing some benefit.
Yeah, and it's like zero social security and have something close to 12%.
Sweet.
Because years behind it was like 5%, and they up it up because it was a bit too low, and they leave it at 12% income tax.
Okay.
But it doesn't have social security. That is
Okay.
important.
And it's
Do you
a
ask
flat
your
12%? or
It's a
they have
flat 12%, like
Yeah.
flat
Do you
12%.
ask one of your clients, maybe, like if you have many clients, maybe you can ask one of them to only pay you once a year? if you
Exactly,
provide
that's what
them
I
a
did.
service?
Oh
For
my God,
example,
that sounds
good.
I used to work for Amazon, and I was like, can you pay me in the half of the year,
They'll be
like 6
happy
months
then,
of
yeah.
of work? And they were like, okay, we can say up to 6 months of work, and that was my acto isolado.
That makes sense.
Makes it that way.
Awesome.
So, but that you can do it when you are a freelancer, not a company.
Yeah.
Just as a freelancer.
Makes sense.
Okay, maybe a lot of stuff I'm not useful because I never did. So there's a lot of different stuff depending on your case. Like if it's paying more than 24%, that's another route that I never took because I never had that. But then, when you are getting like high salaries, you will see that Social Security has a top, and that top is 1,000 euros. So there is a point, if you make enough money, that you can end up paying 1,000 euros per month. So
I will
Yeah.
never pay more than 1,000 euro per month on Social
never,
Security.
never. The top is 1,000,
Okay.
but it can go to that. So you can also have a company to avoid that.
Yeah.
And I'll go to the other side. When you have a company you have to have an accountant. There is no other way
Yeah.
around. And you have to put all your invoices through them, and they will have to put all your expenses through them, and they will have to handle everything.
Is there different kind of company that you can open?
Yeah, there are different. There are solo like an LLC. type of stuff.
Which one would you recommend for someone that is after the freelancer, work on their own?
Unipessoal. It does like a company of just yourself.
Yeah.
In my case, I don't have that because I have my company with my husband, so that doesn't work for me. But and also we have a few employee.
Yeah,
So we need like to be a company.
Employees or hired freelancers?
No, now I have employee.
Oh.
I have to.
So the income that comes in for your company with your husband, do you have to individually file income tax, or like for your husband's income?
No,
You file income tax for the entity, for
In
the
this
company.
case, the entity. That's
Okay.
what the accountant is doing.
Yeah.
I would put every invoice, and I have a salary. I have to
And
have a
or
salary.
dividends as well, right? You can have.
Yes.
Like,
For parts, because
Sorry,
it gets.
Yeah.
Okay, first you can have a salary. Actually, if you are the CEO, the gerente, how they say, the gerente, you have to have a salary. You cannot not have a salary. If, for example, I have the minimum and my husband have to have a bit more than the minimum, then he cannot have the minimum. They will give you a few benefits and a few bonuses that you can get. I try to get as much as I can out of that, but I try to keep my salary as low as possible so I can pay as low social security as possible.
makes sense.
And you can get bonuses, but also with common sense. Here in Portugal, usually you can get bonuses as, how can I say that? Travel expenditures, as kilometers. That's if you have a car. You can put, for example, this month I spent 200 kilometers doing business. So they give you a bonus for each kilometer that you spend on your car.
But that's only for car or also
Only for cars.
Okay.
Only for cars.
And-
You can also, you can also have some bonuses, but those are really low for transportation for your employee. For example, I am an employee of my company, also a owner, so and two entities.
Yeah.
So in my employee side, I have bonuses like vacations and food subsidies.
But wait, you have to finance all these benefits from the company.
From the
from
company,
resources
of
the
course. Yeah.
So that's if you are owner of the company, then that's not a real benefit for you, right?
It's not a real benefit, but it's a way to take because the
Are not
bonuses
taxed.
only have 5% tax.
Okay.
Only that.
Okay. Okay.
Excepting the vacations and Christmas vacations.
That's the 13 and 14 salary. Right?
The 13 and 14, you can have it two ways. If you don't know, he knows the 13 and 14. Here in Portugal, you usually have 14 salaries. You don't have 12. You have one for Christmas extra and one extra for vacations in the summertime. So your company, if you have it, you can choose or have an extra month of payment at the end of the year and enjoy that. Or they do, I don't know how to translate that, but you can fraction that amount in a bit in each month. So you have like an extra 50 euros. That's actually your 13 and 14 extra month. Those they have no social security, but they do pay income tax. Those pay income tax. But the bonuses for like kilometers and travel expenditures, they only have 5% tax.
Can I use these travel expenses even if I'm like programmer?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
For example, next week I'm to Iceland for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to Japan for 2 months. I spend the year mostly travel.
So basically, you declare all your travels as a business
Also,
related travel.
in
car
my
travel,
case,
right?
in my case, I can do also because I have a food blog. So I use like I went to this restaurant and then I just pay the restaurants as business expenses. But that's another stuff. Because in my case I can do it. But as a programmer or whatever you are, you can do like I'm traveling for work, I don't know, and usually this only pay 5%.
Only in
tax.
Portugal.
No, you can travel around the world.
Worldwide.
But
Actually,
this is only
when-
on car travel, right?
No.
Also,
Any even flight
flights.
tickets?
Flight.
Okay.
But it would vary. You have to make it make sense. You have
Yeah,
to
of
use
course,
common sense.
yeah.
For example, I use my food blog.
Yeah.
Others use, I don't know. I know people that they don't like social media, but they only open an account, a travel account, just to be able to travel and justify it.
Yeah. Or what about if I work for a customer in Czech Republic and I go to Czech Republic, then I can clearly
Clearly, take
Justify
10
it.
days out of travel expenses.
Yeah.
They have a established rate that again I don't know by. That is like 80 euros per day in Portugal and around 100 euros per day outside Portugal that you can take as a bonus. So if you have a lot of days, that amounts to something. And those are the ways that you can benefit from having a company. Then also you have business expenditures. If you have a lot of expenses like an office, you can just take that out of the bill. You can take all electricity, water. For example, I work from my home, so all my services all are paid by the company. You know.
Also the rent.
In my case, it's not right because I have a mortgage.
I see.
So
but if I pay a rent,
if you pay a
I
rent,
can
then
declare this is my home is my
Yeah.
office. Therefore,
Totally.
But that's
It's
only
not
if you are a company and not a
only if
you're
you're
a
a company.
company,
Only if you're a company.
Got it,
If
got it.
you are a freelancer, you have like a percentage. It's like 15% that they can take away, but it's not.
from the
15%
overall
of
rent.
rent.
It's like something. Yeah. You have to see. Because it gets tricky when you're a freelancer. There are some services that you cannot deduct,
Yeah.
and if you you have to have a real contract. Because I know this
Yeah.
sounds a bit silly, but I know a lot of people that doesn't have a contract.
I got it.
What contract?
The rental contract.
A rental
Ah, of
contract.
course,
I know
okay.
a lot
It has
of
to be
people that doesn't
official.
have.
If it's
Have
not
to be official.
official-
You have to go through finance
Yep.
because they have to be able to verify that you are paying that
Yeah,
amount
yeah.
of money.
From which point do you think would it make sense to switch from self-employed to opening a company, or would you rather recommend opening a company right away?
No, I actually don't recommend. This is what my accountants tell me. Again, it depends because again, it depends on a lot of factors. If you have from the get-go a lot of expenses, go for the company route. It's easier than first going for organized and then going to a company. At the end of the day, you probably will need a company. So you could go for, as a sole proprietor. Unipessoal. Here is called
One man
unipessoal.
company.
Unipessoal.
Yeah, it's just you. Oh. It's just you. But if you have, for example, if you have persons that work for you that live in Europe and they need to have some kind of documentation, but also you need a company because it will be illegal to hire them without having,
As a freelancer, I cannot hire other people.
Exactly. As a freelancer, you cannot freelancer another people. That's that. In my case, I needed someone in Europe to do some stuff, so I had to provide the social security for them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So as a company, you have to put all your invoices through the accountant.
Yeah.
But as a freelancer,
You
how do you report, like for example, if you're a freelancer and you're working for some company that's not in Portugal, like Amazon, for example, how do you report that you're getting money from Amazon?
You're sending
Recibos.
invoices.
Yeah,
to them.
you make the invoices yourself through the finances. Here's one. I will say the legal stuff, and I will say what other people I know they're doing, and I know that is not the legal thing.
Okay.
But the legal stuff that you have to report, you have to go to the finances website, and you go there, and you create an invoice. This date I received this amount from this company, from this company, and they have
Outside of Portugal.
outside of.
And so a company outside of Portugal, we'll use Amazon as an example. When they pay you, they don't go through the Finanzas website.
No.
So
That's when it comes the shady part.
So you could just create fake invoices.
You can just, like this month I didn't have anything, and you have a lot of. I know people that do that, but you are risking that the government opens an investigation on you for random, and then they can search into your Portuguese account, and they can search in account. I think it was over 10,000
You mean your
euros.
Portuguese bank account?
Bank account.
But what if you get the salary or the money for your gig on a foreign bank account?
If it's Europe, they can ask for the same because
It's
it's,
interconnected.
if it's Europe, it's like the same.
You can keep your activity open even without
If you don't
creating
make
invoices.
it is recommended to be inactive just for the thing of.
But it's better not, because you can
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
some social securities, for example. But there is one case where, for example, I am delivering services to clients in Europe, and very often they are very interested in knowing if my taxes are alright, because and they require the invoice from me because they declare my invoice as their expense. And if in case that I will not do my taxes properly and the invoice is fake or something, and later on they will find out, they are not legally allowed to declare this invoice as expense. Suddenly they would create problem for themselves. So that's another mechanism that kind
that
of
was another
ensures-
thing that I was going to say. For example, in my case, Amazon, big company, they require that I send invoices. Also, they require that the account is a Portuguese registered one. I cannot send it to the United States because I live here. So they will only send me money to a Portuguese account.
Okay.
So if I get out it, I get screwed because you know that money will be received.
Do you have to have a Portuguese account when you create a business in Portugal?
Yeah, the
Is
company
but
has
a
to have.
professional one? Is that like can I have my own one and then link it? Let's say I open a Portuguese account for myself.
For company or
For
for
a company,
freelance?
for freelancer.
For company. and
Company.
freelance, both.
Okay, freelancer, you can use your own personal account and that's it. You don't need
As a
nothing
freelancer,
special.
you can even receive money in Estonia, Latvia,
Yeah.
Okay.
Denmark. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely no problem. As a company, the company, the entity
to have
has
its
to
own-
have its
makes
own
sense.
thing where you have to, all the invoices have to go through the account and all the salaries have to come out.
Yeah.
Account and all the expenses and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what about the accountant? I've heard that some people they get like the foreign price, which is about 60 an hour, and some people get the good price, about 30 an hour. If you speak Portuguese, have you
You
heard
are
about?
talking about price of the accountant
Yeah,
services.
price of the accountant.
In my experience, again, from my experience, I have bad experiences with accountants that are cheap.
Okay.
For me, I prefer
They
to
make
pay a
mistakes.
premium,
Okay.
and I don't have any problem with the company I'm working.
Do you have any recommendation of the price?
I don't-
Do you have
I don't
some
like to
trusted-
recommend because I think each person should make their
Should
own.
make their
But in
own.
my case, it was important for me that it was an accountant that was familiarized with digital businesses because it's not the same as having a shoe store or having
Yeah.
a, you know, here sometimes a lot of Portuguese accountants, they are like really basics, like, but where is your store? It's not like a store, it's like, so I needed an accountant that knew how to work
Yeah.
with digital businesses. Also needed an accountant to speak English because a lot of my invoices are in English. So I needed a good support because I'm picky as a person. So I needed someone that could answer my
Yes.
question and that would be there 24/7. Then I have a thing. So I pay a bit higher
But
than
you
I
have
would.
the service that goes.
But I
and
have the
brings
service
it.
that goes with me.
Makes
I pay
total sense,
around
yes.
250 per month. But I know if you could go cheaper like me.
But how did you find like obviously you cannot recommend the same person to everyone. So what was the process of you finding a good accountant?
I have a friend that has a business similar to mine. She used to live here. Now she's living in Andorra. Yeah, Andorra.
That's the best way.
That's the dream. Okay, and she recommend those guys that there is not an accountant, it's an entire company, and they are really good. Never have any problem with them.
And do
then
you pay the same amount
Every
for
month.
them every
month.
So you
month?
pay 250 for
250.
accounting services.
Yeah, every month.
250.
2,000.
No, 200. no, 250.
And I mean, okay, you're already established with your business, but what would you recommend for someone who just getting started and just wants to open, like for example in my case, I wanna like open this that I can send invoices legally, but I'm not sure if I will have income through that every month because I'm
Okay.
just starting.
Here is I'm not a professional advice. You legally, you should open your activity when you are going to start. But in honesty, you need only that when you have a decent income that is worth reporting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are just there paying social security for something that is not producing enough to, you know?
Yeah, that's
What would be your
like,
expected gross income per year? That's I think the most fundamental question.
Yeah.
Because if it's like less than I don't know 10k,
Okay,
20k,
it's not worth.
It's not probably worth the hassle. But if it's like somewhere between 30, 40, all the way to those 200k per year,
Of course,
then
yeah.
it's totally worth it. especially the first year of self-employment is
yeah.
the golden year of self-employment.
Because you don't pay social security at all.
In the end,
Oh.
if you run the numbers, at least in my business, which is computer science, I'm effectively paying 7.5% altogether on my gross income for the first year.
For the first year, because
And it's
you take all the social
second
security.
Second year, it starts to slowly go up because there are some factors. First of all, first year of your self-employment, you don't pay social security or exempt. So that's perfect. This first source of benefit. Second source is you can declare the 25% of your gross income as your expenses without keeping any accounting whatsoever.
You don't have to justify that
No,
25%.
Yeah, you don't.
That's yours. So
Yeah,
that's a good
I
thing.
have heard some stuff like that you have partially justified with something, like you can
But
partially justify
what I
with
did,
social insurance. or
just
something.
to keep everything legal, extra careful, is that I kept like some invoices that, because you have a few expenses here and there, so I kept my
buy
invoices in
hardware,
case
you
anyone
buy
asked
laptop.
anything. Nobody asked anything in the 4 years that I was
Yeah.
freelancer, but I kept them just for
to
the
be
lol.
sure. Yeah, but yeah. Plus, there is for the first year you will get on the personal income tax you will get 50% discount on top of all of what I said for the first year. So if you run the numbers, it should be 7.5% what will be taken away from your gross for your first year of self-employment, and that's really awesome.
Here in Portugal.
Yeah.
Here in Portugal. So that the first year they try to make it easy for you, and that's amazing benefit.
But
for
it's
you.
not worth to lose that benefit if you are not going to make enough money.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Because it's not going to
that's a question. Like, how am I supposed to start when I don't know if there will be any? For example,
Just start.
in my case, I cannot go full self-employed. I don't know if that's ever possible. So I wanna start next to being still employed to have the.
I don't think you will have real expenses. You can open the activity almost on your own, or if you don't trust yourself, then you will pay. Depends on what person you will find to help you. Let's say 100 euro, 200 euros to help you to open it, and that's your only real expense if you're a freelancer. You don't need to have accountant. So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you don't pay anything. If you don't make money, you will also not lose money. You will not lose money on expenses. You don't have any.
Well, then I lose the benefit for the first year.
But
Yeah.
then there is exactly the question, because if you blew your first year without making real money, you will blow away your chance to not tax this big money. So it would be the best to really do it, as you say, only when you know that you have good income. But I don't really know if there is any other way, because if you need to make invoices, you have to be registered. There are groups on Reddit where people of the same interest gather. For example, for Portugal, there is wonderful Reddit that I can recommend to all of you. It's called Literaceira Financeira something.
But is it in Portuguese?
Yeah, it's a Portuguese, but these guys, most of them speak English. And I can give you one story. When I was starting my freelance here, I hired a tax advisor. I paid him quite hefty fee to do that, and he did it incorrectly. He opened my activity here without the checkbox that says that I will be delivering services to European community,
and
and
then-
I had to do it like later with the help of a guy from Reddit, which did it for free.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
These guys
actually
are really great.
here in Portugal you can do everything for free if you have a good knowledge of Portuguese and you have patience.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
actually you can open your activity.
I did it.
You can do
I
it
did it
I have
from
neither
home.
of those.
But it's mostly it's just having patience, because
Yeah.
sometimes they can get a bit like, no, we don't know how to do that, because especially when you're a digital business, you go to finances and they're like, I don't know how to do that, I don't know what activity is that, I
Yeah.
don't know what is the code.
Don't trust these people. Verify.
Yes.
It will cost you time and nerves, but one day you will figure out stuff. And yeah, I usually don't trust the first thing I'm told at offices and stuff, because these
Yeah.
people are also just employees.
And they usually
them
they
are-
usually have a hard time figuring out with something that is outside the box of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
a regular
Yes.
company, Portuguese company is. So you have to be persistent and try to find answers in the law. I read the law, the Portuguese law, just
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to be
yeah.
sure that this could be made,
Yeah.
and read it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And YouTube, because actually it's different. For example, to have a digital company, you have to do like the code is portage web. It's like websites, just that website. And I'm like, so if you ask me, I do websites. That's all I do. I don't do anything else but website. So I was like, I also do marketing business. And they were like, no, but that's another box. So that's why I say, take the biggest code, the broader, the better, because then it can be difficult to explain that this is not exactly I'm making a website. I did a promotion for this in one of our websites, but it's not like.
Can I ask you, when it comes to the company, so what will be my final tax I will pay on my gross income as my company?
Okay.
There is the 15% corporate tax, is that correct?
No. See, no, maybe. They have until 25,000 is 15%. After that is 21. So if you make as a profit, not revenue, profit, more than $25,000 per year, you would have to pay 21.
On the what is beyond the
it's
on
like
the
a
first
bracket.
chunk I pay the less and then I pay more.
But it's not 50, it's 17 here in Portugal. But if you go to Madeira
that's
has
different,
it's different. They have lower. They have 15 and the highest I think is 17. If you go to Azores, it's even lower.
Okay, so that's the first tax that will get the money from outside inside my company.
No. So it goes this way. You receive your money. You pass it through the account.
Yeah.
Your accountants do all the job. They put everything in, everything out, and they do the balance. So your income, your salary, because remember, if you are a gerente,
will be in expense for the company.
and you have to have a salary.
Yeah.
You cannot be like so. Your salary has to pay IRS.
Yeah.
It's going to be low because you will probably should have like a low salary.
I will just set up the lowest possible
The
salary.
lowest possible, and you will have to pay social security if you exceed like 760 euros per month. I think it is the minimum.
Just
So
regular employed stuff.
Just to be like the minimum of everything. Then you have to do your bonuses. They are going to pay 5%. Then at the end of the year, they are going to do like the math, like what goes in, what goes out. You have to put all your expenses. It is important, really, 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 really important. That here Portuguese are obsessed with the NIF number. Obsessed.
Oh yes.
So
Yeah.
when you have a company, it's even worse, because if you have anything that you want to put as a business expense here in Portugal, you have to put your NIF number, your company NIF number, not your personal, your company NIF number.
Makes sense.
Because
That
otherwise
makes
they
sense.
will not use it.
Well, or I can link it maybe later, but that's not good.
No,
I should do it
it's not.
straight.
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have to appeal. It's going to be. So okay. So if you have, I have a lot of expenses that are outside European Union, in countries that don't have the NIF number, so they are lenient with that way. If is an invoice from outside Portugal, they will not care that much. Of course, they will try to do it because it's easier to not explain.
But
So
European expenses are easy for them to verify, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all this nice VAT
What I
system.
try to do just to avoid the nagging, because it gets boring, is try to get it. Usually in an invoice you get your address. The address of the company has to be the address of the company.
Yeah.
And I put it after I put all the information. I put between. I put the number just to get it
To be
somewhere
absolutely
in a paper.
clearly linked
Yeah,
to your
they are really obsessed with the NIF number. Just that.
So you put the NIF number even on invoices that you receive, or like receipts?
The company
No,
NIF
the
are
number.
company expenses. For example, if I want to buy a plane ticket with my company,
Yeah.
it's difficult because not most air companies do that, travel companies. But if I can try to put the NIF number on the invoice that I'm going to deliver to my accountant, so they can deduct that from the, as expense.
For example, when you go to Japan.
All that.
Also, when you book a hotel there.
Also,
I see.
You want to
not
clearly
not
link
every. I don't manage to do it every time, but I try. I really
But
try.
now, this is kind of a deviation.
Okay.
So, the NIF number. So I'm asked for my NIF number even
Okay.
if I go buy coffee. What it's not as a company, as a personal.
Okay.
As just a person
This is
walking
another-
around.
okay.
Why would you give your NIF number?
It's important.
because deductions.
Yeah, deduct. Because Portuguese have an outdated system, and even the European Union says like stop it, but they don't. So you don't have as a personal income like an amount that the government says like you have regular expenses like all human beings. You know, you have to pay rent, you have to pay water. So they have categories that they will deduct from your taxes. They have 250 euros. Say 250 euros of living expenses like supermarket and rent and living and water and electricity that they will give you back at the end of the year.
If you declare them.
If you put your NIF number,
If you declare that.
for example, if you have to pay $1,000 at the €1,000 at the end of the year as taxes, and you have your NIF number in all these expenses, then we'll give you back 250
Automatically, that's the benefit. If
So
you give them, it's there,
it's
and
there.
they will calculate.
You
it
have to
automatically.
put it,
Okay.
but you have a limit. So usually expenses are that low that you with just your supermarket bill you will get it. It's like you don't have to do anything out of the ordinary to get it, but just remember to put your NIF number. They also have for restaurants. Another thing that is important, I don't know if you have pets, veterinary bills, also it's good to have them with NIF.
Separate category.
Medical bills,
Pharmacy,
all the stuff
car.
have a return.
Like
So
the last, I've been here for over a year, so there was already one time when I
Get stuff back.
And the only thing what I did is like I logged into the finances, basically clicked yes, I approve,
Confirm, yeah.
and then boom, a few weeks later the money was in my bank account.
In my latest video, I showed you exactly how I do it in my account, as you can see here. You can click here to get to the video.
Yeah.
it's a return.
Portuguese.
If you have to pay taxes, then you lower your taxes. And if you don't have to pay taxes because you have the minimum amount of the minimum wage, they will give you money back.
And
So
you say there is a maximum I can declare. For example, groceries is
Yeah.
250.
it's 250. After that,
So
it's
no
not, it's
point on putting
No.
in for more than
There is
250
no- yeah.
in the year.
Yeah, and there are some benefits. I don't know if that is concerning to any
Lottery.
of you guys, but there are some benefits if you have a partner, even if it's not your spouse.
Uh-huh.
Because, for example, before being married, I also was like living in the same household, so
Yeah.
we have bigger,
Limit.
bigger limits.
Like each of you get more limit
A
if
bit,
you are
yeah.
partners living together.
Yeah, if we declare together.
So not 250 for each of you, but 300 or something.
No, it's a tiny bit more. It's
Tiny
like
bit.
it's like 600 instead of. It will be 500 if you have 250 and 250.
Uh-huh.
So it's 600. Yes.
So
No,
each
no,
of you basically gets
yeah.
50.
Yeah, it's
extra.
something.
Ah,
But you
But-
have to have a NIF, the two of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to put them.
How do we declare we are
600 for
couple?
the whole year?
In the
Yes, it's
port,
something
government
you get
portal, in the portal des finances, we can say this NIF and this NIF are
Yeah,
couple.
R2. You can do a joint declaration.
A
And
joint
It's a
declaration.
joint declaration. The declaration will be your name, your partner's name, and their NIF, and all the income will be. And that's really good if I don't know if this is important for you, but it's really good if one of you have a like high salary and the other have like low salary. There is a
that's
big
actually
difference.
our case.
It's amazing because in my case that was the thing. So it will be like sum it up and then split in half. So if you were in a bigger bracket in this salary, then you are in the low.
But they have to be married or something? Or?
No, you can be união de facto. União de facto is like living. I don't know. You are living
Co-living.
as long as you have it's easy to have
If
that.
you have a contract together, that's enough?
As long as you have a
It
contract
has to
together.
be official contract,
And
otherwise they will not.
Yeah, and they will ask you probably a comprobativo de residencia. That's a proof that you have in the freguesia,
Yeah.
in the
Like
where you live.
Crew, eh?
So you need to live together.
Yeah, you need to live together. That there is no way around that. There is no way around that. And you sometimes they will ask some witness, like friends or family, to say yeah they live together.
Show
But
me your
sometimes they don't even care.
pictures.
So you have that. It's really easy to get. You just and you can do joint.
Is it problem because I usually don't live at places officially. I don't have contracts and stuff. Is it problem? But we are, for example, me and my girlfriend, we in Portal das Finanças, we registered the same address.
Okay.
That should be
Yeah,
already
that
it?
should be okay. They will probably ask you what I told you, a comprobativo de residencia,
Some proof.
some proof. And you can use, like I told you, go together and you say that you live
Is
together.
it for sure that they will ask for proof, or it's like
It's for
they
sure.
might?
It's for
It's
sure.
for sure.
If you want to declare, because this is something that I know a lot of couples that did the same thing, because I was asking when I was doing that, and they were like, the first years they will always ask you the proof before releasing the form,
Yeah.
because it's like your first year. Then after that they don't care.
And if we don't have a contract, is that a problem? That
Where you are, you have a rent contract?
We have like oral
Okay,
rent
that
contract.
gets complicated. You don't pay any service in your name. You don't have any service in your name.
I
Water,
did
like-
all up till now. I did pay internet at one address, but that I also closed recently.
Okay, because it would be nice if, for example, that's what I did. Your girlfriend has the water bill and you have the electricity bill to your name. So you both have an invoice with the same address,
Yeah.
and then you can use that as a proof.
But I have invoices for the whole previous year for the internet, and she was there also registered.
But the most important thing, because Portuguese is a bit this way,
Yeah.
so the most important thing is that the address and the invoice has both of your names with the same address, because otherwise they will not take it as a valid proof. That's what I said, maybe split the bills, like one is water, one electricity, so that way in both appears each of
We
you
don't have any
names.
bills.
So that's amazing if you have difference in income, because it's huge to
Even if
register.
I have NHR, does it complicate it or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't.
What is NHR?
Non-habitual tax
It
residency.
doesn't.
By the way, if any of you guys moved here before the end of prior year, you have until March, end of March, to ask for NHR. I would recommend to all of you do it, because